Have you ever thought about playing a game without owning a PC or a console? No downloads, no hardware upgrades, and no giant box heating the room beneath your television. You would simply choose a game, press a button, and start playing through the internet. That was Google's dream with Stadia. Your controller input would travel hundreds of kilometers to a Google data center, control a game running on a remote machine, and send the finished image back to your screen before your brain noticed the delay. It sounded like the future. Then it became a billion-dollar cloud gaming graveyard. No console, no expensive gaming computer, just a screen, a controller, and Google carrying the entire game through the cloud. The technology was ambitious. The business model was less comforting. Google asked players to spend $60 on games stored entirely inside a company famous for shutting down products. The dream became a nightmare. Excellent combination. Google launched Stadia at the Game Developers Conference in 2019. Phil Harrison promised 10.7 teraflops of power, up to 4K at 60 frames per second at launch, and eventually 8K at 120 frames per second. The central promise was simple: no console required. On paper, Google looked unfairly qualified. It owned massive data centers, global fiber infrastructure, Chrome, Android, YouTube, payments, advertising, and billions of user accounts. Sony and Microsoft understood gaming, but Google understood the internet. The hard problem was latency. A movie can buffer ahead, a game cannot. When you press a button, the server must receive the input, update the game, render a frame, compress it, send it back, and display it before the delay feels wrong. Google proposed something called negative latency. The company said artificial intelligence could predict likely player inputs and prepare frames before the button was pressed. Cloud gaming might eventually feel more responsive than a local machine. Google was trying to predict your next move before you made it. Normal Tuesday in Silicon Valley. The engineering goal was serious. The product strategy was less elegant. Players expected a Netflix of games, pay one subscription, and receive a large library. Google instead charged about $10 per month for Stadia Pro, while most major games still had to be purchased separately at full-price retail. So the console-free future required a subscription, full-price games, and launch a hardware bundle with a controller and Chromecast. No console required. Several purchases recommended. This mattered because Stadia was not selling downloadable ownership. A game purchased on the platform existed only while Google kept the servers alive. Players were being asked to build expensive libraries inside a company behind the "Killed by Google" graveyard, a public record of products abandoned after failing to meet expectations. Gamers noticed. A $60 game on a traditional console could remain installed even after the company lost interest. A $60 Stadia game depended on Google continuing to operate the service. The platform needed trust before asking for commitment. Google asked for commitment first. Therefore, people hesitated to buy games. Because people hesitated, publishers saw a smaller audience. Because the audience remained small, Google had fewer reasons to invest. The fear that Stadia would die helped create the numbers that made killing Stadia easier. A self-fulfilling shutdown notice. Google understood that a gaming platform needs exclusive content, so it created Stadia Games and Entertainment. Jade Raymond, known for her work on Assassin's Creed, led the effort. She said Stadia needed games that would not be possible on any other platform. That was correct. It was also expensive and slow. Large games take years. Teams prototype, fail, rebuild systems, rewrite stories, delay milestones, and spend uncomfortable amounts of money before anyone knows whether the result is good. Google was experienced at launching software, measuring engagement, and scaling products quickly. Gaming development does not care about your quarterly dashboard. Developers reportedly asked Google to launch Stadia as a beta. They knew the platform, features, and catalog were not ready for the promises already made. Leadership refused. The public launch continued. Then Stadia missed active user targets by hundreds of thousands. Instead of buying time through a cautious beta, Google had created a public verdict. The numbers were bad. Now the company needed major games immediately, so it paid publishers tens of millions of dollars for ports. Reports suggested roughly $20 million each for major titles such as Assassin's Creed and Red Dead Redemption 2, not to create exclusive experiences, to place existing games in another store. Imagine paying $20 million to open a restaurant that serves the same meal as the restaurant across the street, except the customer already owns plates over there. The ports made the catalog look larger, but they did not fix the pricing, the trust problem, or the lack of games that justified Stadia's existence. Then came the motherboard decision. On February 1, 2021, barely more than a year after launch, Google shut down Stadia Games and Entertainment. About 150 developers were affected, and Jade Raymond left. Google had created internal studios to prove what cloud-native gaming could become. Then it closed them before they could finish proving it. 5 days before the announcement, Phil Harrison had reportedly praised the teams for their progress. Corporate praise, the loading screen before unemployment. Now, inspect the evidence with me. Google rejected the beta approach, it launched without a mature exclusive library, user targets were missed by hundreds of thousands, it paid enormous sums to import games from competitors, then it eliminated the teams responsible for creating the long-term reason to choose Stadia. What message did that send to someone considering another $60 purchase? Google did not need to announce the final shutdown yet. It had already announced the absence of patience. This was the deeper failure. Stadia was managed like a typical technology product. Launch quickly, measure demand, scale what works, and cut what doesn't. Gaming platforms often require the opposite. You spend years building studios, relationships, exclusive games, trust, and an ecosystem before the platform becomes sustainable. Google wanted the network effect before funding the reasons for the network. The counterintuitive part is that Stadia often worked. With a strong connection, players could launch demanding games on weak hardware, avoid large downloads, and move between screens with little friction. The streaming infrastructure was real. The engineering team had solved enough of the latency problem to prove cloud gaming was viable. Cloud gaming was not the stupid idea. Building a gaming culture with software company patience was. Microsoft treated cloud gaming as an extension of Xbox. It already had studios, users, subscriptions, purchased libraries, and decades of relationships. NVIDIA connected cloud access to games people owned through established computer stores. Google tried to build the infrastructure, store, audience, publishing operation, development culture, and consumer trust almost simultaneously. Then it checked the graph. The line was not rising fast enough. On September 29, 2022, Phil Harrison announced that Stadia had failed to gain the expected traction. The service remained available until January 18, 2023, when the servers shut down. The platform survived for slightly more than 3 years. Surprisingly, Google handled the funeral well. It refunded eligible hardware, games, downloadable content, and in-game purchases. Players kept their controllers, and Google released a tool that unlocked Bluetooth support so the hardware could continue working elsewhere. The platform died, the controller escaped. Phil Harrison quietly left Google during the same month Stadia shut down. The executive who introduced Google's gaming future departed as the final servers went dark. And this is where Stadia stops being only a gaming story. Your games, files, software, artificial intelligence tools, and digital libraries increasingly live on servers you don't control. The interface may say buy, but what you receive is often conditional access maintained by a company reviewing engagement charts. The product doesn't need to fail technically. The company only needs to change priorities. Google refunded Stadia customers because it had the money and chose the responsible exit. Another company may not. A smaller service can disappear into bankruptcy. A platform can remove content, change terms, raise quality, or raise prices after your workflow depends on it. The modern ownership screen has excellent graphics. It's still a rental agreement. Stadia promised to remove the console from gaming. It succeeded. Unfortunately, it also removed the first-party studios, the store, the service, and eventually the executive who announced it. At least the controller survived, which is more than I can say for my Chimarrón. It's been sitting here buffering for 10 minutes.